Since I'm pretty new here, I thought I'd spend this time just telling you my life story in 7 to 10 minutes. So, I grew up in Minnesota, the oldest of 4 kids, but 2 of them are really little. They're 8 and 11, so for all intents and purposes, I grew up with 1 sister. And when I was probably 7, I would say I became a Christian. I was one of the 32%. And I believed in God my whole life. And I felt committed to Christianity. But it always felt like something was missing, I guess. I don't know how to explain that. It just felt like I felt somewhat fulfilled by believing that in Jesus, but I don't think I could say that that felt very real to me until later on. So I'll get to that part. So I went to college when I was 18, about an hour and a half from my house in Minnesota, and the second year that I was there, I got extremely depressed and ended up failing out, which was a huge blow to my ego and a lot of other things. But one thing that happened through that was I just realized that it just felt like something was off, all was not right in my world. After that, I ended up just floating around for a few years, working and just living with friends and kind of figuring out what my next steps were going to be. And during that time, Mormon missionaries came to my door. I was living in St. Paul, Minnesota at the time, and I'd always been very fascinated with religious groups that traditional Christians tend to label cults, and Mormons were one of those. So I was just really excited that Mormons had come to my door, and I was living with a few friends at the time, and they were all Christians, and we started meeting with the missionaries. And after 3 months of that, so we just talked about doctrine and whatever it is that the Mormons like to talk about. And after 3 months of that, we weren't converting, so they stopped. They kind of dropped us. But I was just kind of hooked at that point. I thought Mormons were fascinating, and I just loved talking about anything related to religion. So this is a much longer story, but my friends and I ended up moving to Utah shortly after that, just to spend the summer there and kind of learn about Mormonism. And converting was never really on the horizon for us. We just found it really interesting, and converting other people was kind of more on our horizon. So we spent the summer there, and then I realized I still needed to go to college, so I might as well do it there, and I loved it. And really my life in Minnesota was just a total mess, and I had nothing to go back to. So I just decided to stay in Utah, and I applied to Mormon college there, BYU, and ended up getting in. I applied with my high school transcripts. My college transcripts never would have gotten me in. But so this is where the Christianity part comes back in. So while I was there, I did a lot of interfaith dialogue type of things, and the first year I was at BYU, I was in this evangelical LDS dialogue, and this evangelical Christian guy made the comment that Christianity isn't just intellectual assent to a set of propositions, and I just felt like that hit me like a ton of bricks. So what he meant by that was Christianity isn't just believing the right things about God, which is exactly what I thought Christianity was. So for the life of me, I can't remember what he said after that, like the part that Christianity is. But that part really, I think, just set the ball rolling for me and figuring out, like, because it immediately struck me as true. Like, that cannot be what Christianity is, just like believing this set of right doctrines. So that kind of set the ball rolling for me, just trying to figure out like what it is, if that's not what it is. And I certainly think that believing the right things is part of Christianity. It's just not the whole thing. And so anyway, so I spent the next kind of 4 years at BYU as what I would say as, like, I think that was kind of like a born-again experience for me. I felt like I kind of understood grace for the first time through a couple of things that happened that year. I read a book and met some people. So yeah, I think I had this kind of like born-again experience, even though I had spent my whole life in a Christian church and believing in Christianity. And so I spent the next 4 years just taking lots of classes on Mormon religion while trying to sort out like this whole Christianity thing. And yeah, I don't know, there's not really a resolution to this story. Good luck trying to figure out what the point is. But I think that like maybe what I got out of that whole thing was just a way of like kind of understanding Christianity as like way more relationally than I had ever imagined that it would be, and like feeling like maybe intimacy with God is more the point than believing all the right things about God. And so yeah, that's kind of where I ended up. And then I came to Fuller because, I go to Fuller, by the way, because a lot of the professors at Fuller do this interfaith dialogue thing with Mormons at a kind of more scholar level, and I've been able to be a part of that for the last few years, which has been really cool. And I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I wish I could end it by saying, and now I'm going to do this amazing thing, and that's a great story, but I have no idea. If you have any insights on that, let me know after. But, so yeah, that's my story, I guess.